Yo, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you guys how to do this insane floating bottle effect. Zero plugins, zero element 3D, just stock After Effects only. Alright, cool. So basically I'm going to break it down into 3 different chapters. The first one being how to track your scene, the second one being the bottle animation, and the third one is a compositing trick that a lot of people are trying to gatekeep right now. But as you know, we don't like gatekeeping on this channel, so I'm going to show you anyways. Let's go. Alright, cool. So we're back in After Effects. This is the insane drone footage we're going to be using for today's tutorial. So let's get straight into it. The first thing you need to do is 3D camera track your scene. There's 3 ways to do it though. First one being effects and presets, just typing it in this little window over here. The second one being track camera over in the tracker tab, which you can find on window, or you can use a plugin like FX Console and just type in 3D camera tracker, and it's as simple as that. So let that initialize and do its thing, but you can also go into the advanced and just tick detailed analysis. In a lack of better words, it forces After Effects to give you a better track. So always when you're doing projects, make sure you tick detailed analysis. And once that's done, you can see we've got a pretty nice track. But to make things a bit easier, I like to go over to the track point size and just rise it up so I can see exactly what I'm looking at. And to be honest, it's done it so well, I'm actually very surprised. I'm just gonna go with the selection of Create Camera here, but if you've got a bit more of a stable clip like a gimbal clip, or even just some handheld footage where there's not much spinning, what I'd advise to do is actually create a camera a different way. The way I would go about that is by highlighting a specific area, maybe a floor plan, a wall, or whatever it may be. Right click on that once you've dragged over your selection, and then just maybe select the solid and camera route. This is a really easy way to spot if your track is looking good, and in my case, that looks pretty good if I was to do it from that angle. But for me, I'm going to have to do it a little bit differently because of the start of the clip. So let me just delete both of these real quick. Go back onto my clip and actually just press the Create Camera option. It's basically going to use all the data throughout the entire track, which sometimes is easier depending on what you're going for. But now our scene is tracked, it's time to add in our 3D object. So if you want to use the exact same 3D model as me, it is for completely free on the website sketchfab.com. Just search up Wok Lean Bottle, this exact title here, and look for this author. All you need to do once this option comes up is go down to the download 3D model part, click on it, and then just press the first option of GLB. This is important, so make sure you download this one. So I've got my Wok Bottle, Lean Bottle, whatever you want to call it, as a GLB file I downloaded from that same website. And all you got to do is just drag it into your timeline from the folder you unzipped, and yeah, it's literally already going to be tracked to your scene. That's the thing. That's how easy it really is now. You don't need element 3D as much, I'd say. I think element 3D only has certain uses nowadays. So the first thing I'm going to do is find a reference. I'm going to drag the Wok Bottle along, whatever you want to call it, lean. What I'm looking for is to put the Wok Bottle exactly where the artist J-Grams is, because I want to basically get a relative size. Because right now I'm thinking it's looking a bit too big in size compared to the actual scene itself. So I keep messing about with these until I get something roughly in the same spot as the artist, maybe just a little bit more there, and there you go. You can see it's exactly where the artist is standing in the 3D space now, because it's right next to him. And I don't know if you've ever seen a Wok button in real life, but they are not that big, guys. Now hear me out, guys. If you want to make something more realistic, it's got to be the actual realistic scale. I know, but let's just do it. So press S and scale it down to something that's a bit more realistic. Wok bottles are actually smaller than the cup he's holding, so I'm going to roughly put it about 28%. And that looks okay to me, guys, so I'm going to start moving it into 3D space right now. Okay, so now we're actually going to be placing them in the environment to look good, rather than just measuring for scale. Okay, so I've just been using those red, green, and blue arrows to kind of move it along, and I'm quite happy with this kind of position for the first one. But now I'm going to go on the rotation and just kind of put it around a little bit like this. I kind of like it like that, so we can see the label as it passes by. And to me, for a position, I'm quite happy with that. So now onto the next bottle. All you got to do, yeah, is press Ctrl D, and now you can move this bottle wherever you want. To me, in my opinion, I low-key find this a bit easier and more beginner-friendly than using element 3D. Then all you got to do is the exact same process. Just go and keep rotating around and moving it to roughly wherever you think it looks best. So one thing I will say is you don't always have to be completely scale accurate. Remember, you're not exactly doing compositing for a movie here. It's just simple compositing. So what I'm going to do, you can see I want this one to be a bit like closer and quite big. But when I do bring it closer to the camera moves too quick. Well, the drone moves too quick. So in my case, I'm going to bring it back with the arrow once again and just scale it up so you can see it more longer in the camera. and it just looks a bit better that way. So yeah, so that is walk button number 3 done. I'm going to do one more and leave it at that. So on to the next part. We're going to be adding in some simple 3D rotation animations just to make it a little bit more nicer looking. So let's get straight into it. Let's work on the front one here. Because it's not in the scene for the majority of it, I'm only going to start the animation roughly about, like, let's say here. So same process, press R to open it, keyframe orientation down at the bottom, go a little bit more forward so you can see what you're doing, and then just rotate it around as you like, simple as. Then drag it to where it goes out of frame, and just simply move that along. In my case, I think I want it to be a bit stronger than that, so I'm going to just move that along, just roughly play with it a bit more. Then all you gotta do is repeat that process for the other two. I'm not gonna bore you guys with that, I'm just gonna go do it. Alright, cool. So after keyframing all the orientations, this is what I'm left with. But you can still tell there's something missing. It just doesn't look realistic to the scene. The lighting's off, it's looking really harsh, and it's just looking amateur. So let me show you how to fix that now. The very first thing you need to do is press Ctrl D on your original clip, okay? And I'll show you why now. Right click, press new, and add in a light. Then from there, you need to select the environment light type. Make sure cast shadows is ticked on, leave the rest default and press OK. Now from here, you need to go into the light options. Now the next thing you need to do is change the source to your copied clip. You're now going to see the difference in live time. So go onto the source and change it to one of your copied clips, and boom, you can already see the difference, man. So much better already. But let's move on. Now you could leave it like that if you're an amateur, but if you're learning from me, I'm not going to leave you as an amateur. So let's move on to actually how to rotate it now to make it look a lot cleaner. Go into the transform options of your environment light and just use the X and Y rotations until you get something that looks realistic. So when I play around, you can see kind of at the bottom here, the little red kind of shadow. We need to position that so it's facing the back of the Euro. So it'll make it so much better, trust me. And a lot more realistic. So keep moving these around until you find something that looks low-key like what you're trying to go for. And now you can see after my values here that the red rotation is now facing the back of this bottle here. And then you're not seeing any red shadows on the front, but you can kind of see it on the rim here, which looks perfect to me. Now on to the next step. Okay, so now we've got our bottles, we've got our animations for the bottles, and we've also got the lighting for the bottles, but there's one more thing missing, which will actually make this clip 10 times more realistic. Yo, just a quick one. If you like these sort of effects like the one we're covering today, hear me out, I guarantee you're gonna like this. Basically, I just dropped a brand new bundle with over 50 different animations and transitions. You can drag and drop it into any software. And a fun fact, it was used in the video we're referencing today. Right now, you can grab the entire bundle for the price of literally one of the packs inside. I don't know how long it's going to stay that low for, guys, so head over to onthecam.com or the top link in the description and level up your edits today before the price goes up. And a big thank you to everyone who's already bought the pack. Make sure to send me some examples on Instagram of your work and I'll go check it out. Yo, hay fever is kicking my ass, but back to the tutorial anyways. You need to listen very carefully for this part so you don't miss anything. Go onto each individual bottle, right click, go on to create, and then create a 3D layer instance. I want you to do this for every single bottle you create, until the point you know you've done all of them, when you can see all of your original layers are now hidden. That's how you know you're in the right place. And you can already see a rough difference in the lighting, so now it's time to fix that. Alright, cool, we've added instances, if I'm saying that right, for every single bottle we've got in the scene. We've also changed around the lighting to make it a bit more realistic. I'm also going to actually up the intensity a little bit more here. But you're probably wondering, why on earth have I made you do this? Well, let me show you why. If I wanted to add motion blur to one of our original GLB files, you can see you can't. You can't add any sort of effects onto GLB files. But you can see on your 3D layer instances I made you do, you can now add effects in. So this is what separates amateur from a really professional look. You can now add in motion blur, you can add in any sort of effects that you normally would, even like cool CRT looks, whatever you're going for, yeah? Now you can start adding effects onto your 3D models for free without Element 3D. Game changer, trust me if you didn't already know. So now the next thing I'm going to do is, there's a few ways to go about this. The first method you can do if you don't have any sort of plugins is actually add in CC Force Motion Blur, right? And you can already see it looks perfectly integrated into the scene. But there are limitations with this form of motion blur, because the more you up the samples to make it look more realistic, the heavier the load it's going to be on your computer. And if you're using a lower end system, it normally kind of makes it drag out a little bit. Because I've got a really good computer and I know from experience, whenever I use CC Force Motion Blur on a lot of different effects, it just makes it slow. So I wouldn't advise doing it this way if you have the next plugin. And the next plugin is RSMB. So all you're going to do is copy and paste this or your CC Force motion blur onto every single one of your 3D layer instances. So that is the 3D lean bottle effect with 0 plugins. I hope you lot enjoyed it. More importantly, I hope you learned something. Also, a big thank you for your guys' support. You really do keep me going. So I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Love.